We are part of a very large intelligence multiverse. Can you imagine the diversity of cosmic intelligence? And we, here on this earth, are part of this community.
Hello and welcome to Passion Harvest. I am Luisa, your host. Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are in the world right now. I'm so excited about our guest today, Viviane Chauvet. She's an advanced Acturian hybrid avatar. Viviane is an emissary and clear conduit for a delegation of enlightened and spiritually advanced intergalactic civilizations, assisting humanity in repairing the mind, body, and spirit to reach a state of wholeness, encouraging everyone to embrace their divine grace and ascend to their original universal time matrix. Viviane, welcome to Passion Harvest. I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Luisa. It's wonderful to be back with you and be back with everyone. It's just a joy, and I'm very excited to be here.
I've got so many questions to ask you, and I did get overexcited with all the topics. My list was too big, but I guess I'd like to start, for me and for the audience, who and what are extraterrestrials?
But that's a beautiful question. So think of it this way: the word extraterrestrial is just another semantic to express civilizations or simply existing or have evolved beyond the earth plane. So I always use the word star brothers and sisters or star people. So this way it reduces the bridge of separation, and it brings more the earth humans and earth into this more galactic communities, because it's as diversified as a life is diversified on this planet. So this is why that word, even though personally to me this word is filled with love and energy and high vibration and recognition, it's just to bring, it's an umbrella that just refer to the intergalactic or interstellar communities that we are part of. We're simply remembering now, we're simply reconnecting on a more conscious level, and that's the excitement behind it.
So there's no doubt in your mind that there are other beings or life forms on other planets and planetary systems.
Well, if you take a look at all the sacred site and the structures left behind, whether it's symbols, whether it's traditions to many aboriginal tribes, whether it's all the starseed around the world who've known since they were children that their home, it's among the stars, so to speak, that only they come here with a purpose, a soul motivation that brought them here. At this point, it is quite an obvious statement. We are part of a very large intelligence multiverse. Can you imagine the diversity of cosmic intelligence? And we here on this earth are part of this community.
I mean, we have all these movies and we're conditioned to think of aliens and what they look like and extraterrestrials. Do they have physical form? And that's a human question. And probably a ridiculous question.
No, absolutely not. At this point, we always says nothing is mundane anymore. Nothing is ridiculous anymore. We exploring together new possibilities. We're reopening new doors. So let's explore this. It's a really good question. Some will have more a defined physical form, as you used to have here. Your body is very physical. You feel it. And you take care of your body. I mean, there's a lot to relate to. Some of them will have some very similar physical form. Other will have a non-humanoid form. Others have no any needs to embody into a physicality and a more pure consciousness. I have encountered ultra celestial beings that they're a projection of the all. They're an aspect of Prime Creator. Other are just pure presence, consciousness, light. And other have really very defined physical form. And those are aquatic, more water-based, other are more air energy or air-based. So there's a vast diversity of expression, physical and non-physical. Look on the planet. Look at just the insect or the water. How many aquatic beings coexist? Some of them are just like almost like plasma energy with light coming from them, and you go like, wow, this being live in our ocean. And the answer is yes, right here on this earth. So imagining the same level of projection, of opportunity to feel the diversity of form, shape, but ultimately we all are essence of light, and we simply experiment at different level. Whether you call yourself an earth human, a galactic fairies, whether you an angelic being, whether you call yourself an Acturian, ultimately we're all connecting to the point that we all coming from the all there is. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Viviane. That was beautiful. I guess the question is, are extraterrestrials visiting Earth?
What do you think, Luisa? Do you think it's a possibility
I
or
think
it's
they,
a
I think
reality?
they, I don't always go there, but I, anything's possible. I do believe in my belief, yes.
Love it. Perfect. Then again, if you look at the ancient paintings, look at the Renaissance time, paintings of saint with halo, and they will have those round object in this paint in the background, whether it's in different pyramids around the world, not just Egypt. There's pyramid even in South America and other places, Bolivia, the very beautiful pyramid in Bolivia, all the symbol of these cosmic astronauts that shows that they came into craft, different craft to the world. So we're again reconnecting. It's a map that we are rediscovering, and many of them have visiting the earth for thousands and thousands of years. The thing is, I've always been part of the earth through history. Let's just say that this aspect has been filtered out greatly, and yet the paradox of it is we put in movies and TV series and fictional. What do you think the world always getting used to? This says, hey, we're here, we're letting you know, and we want to project it to entertainment or movie industry and music and all of it. It's a reality that we're finally coming back to and simply reconnecting with natural and ease. It is just as natural as you accept there's a moon in your sky or the sunset every day.
It is perceived in whether it's through the media that there's something to be afraid of.
It depends what media you're listening to.
Okay.
Okay. Think of it this way. The 3D traditional media form, news, government officials, communiques, some aspect of social media, depending of what source. It's like a radio station. So depending on which station you tune in, well, their role will be to preserve the three-dimensional narrative, and it's more convenient to bring the population overall to a more fear-based energy. This way, you're not asking questions, you're not looking beyond your sky, you're staying within that comfortable frame of reference or frame of reality that those medias, whose job is to create that frame for you, and they're really, really open, you're going to say yes and accept it. But you change radio station again to a higher station, and this is more spiritual, more open, more empowering. It says we have star seed on the planet. Those star seed are soul emanations have come from a multitude of advanced intergalactic groups or multidimensional groups, again semantics, to bring in the frequencies to help to raise the consciousness, to help to raise the earth back to her original state. And that's you along with her. So you have to look at two different radio channels broadcasting two very different messages. Which one are you accepting as your own reality? That's the question we have for you.
Well, that was beautiful, but you also answered my next question. Why are they here? To raise the consciousness of humanity and the planet. That was
Yes, most of them who are coming back. There may be those who come just as observer because they're looking at one of the most historical moments in the universe to see an entire planet and potentially a civilization on the midst of the most important evolution. So those will come just as observer because they're learning. They may be a historian in their future time frame and they want to look in time something phenomenal happening. Now we're the one in every day. And so we have a different view of this historical moment. But at the same time, it just gives us perspective. But most of them have come to really make us support, to bring us to anchoring the next level of higher frequency so we can get out, finally free ourselves from these band of forgetfulness. So we're no longer so engaged in playing our roles, our identities, and we get so much emerge into this 3D form. And it says, what if there's so much more to you? What if there's an entire universe beyond your box? What will you discover? And so we're here to really support, empowered, inspired, help everyone to remember we see you in your light. We sit simply observing that you are forgotten for a while. Now it's time to remember again.
so this really is a monumental time. Well, there's only now in civilization of humanity and the earth.
Absolutely. A planet has sunk so deep into a decreasing in density and regressing in consciousness, bring yourself back into rising again. It is a phenomenal time. And we'll say that what the Earth and the entire civilization of Earth humans are going through right now into the rise back into their natural state, they're returning into their natural celestial divine state, will inspire many other planets and civilizations who are also on the verge of a very important evolutionary process. So what we are doing here will lead the way. Think of it this way. We're like the pioneers that creating history, just like in our books here on the planet. Well, we know we talk about this person and their crusade who discovered this continent, and now it's becoming a marker in history where we are defining a huge marker in the universe, and that will inspire an example, set an example, a foundation for other homeworlds that you have no consciousness of. That's just to show you how much we are so interconnected to all there is. There is no separation, just the illusion and the impression of it.
It's just so interesting. Thank you. You mentioned the word before, creator. One can call it God or source. What is your definition of the creator?
Yes, this is profound. So our perspective of supreme creative force or prime creator, it's all there is. It's the omnipotence, the omnipresence, the supreme intelligence that we all part of. The best image I can think of it as a giant, the most magnificent, pure, clear quartz you've ever seen or imagining. And that clear quartz, it's all there is. And each fragment or expression of that clear quartz represent an aspect of prime creator. Now each fragment or fractal of it will go out and experiment in different dimensions, experimenting as a non-formless or coming into physical density or rising back again into higher frequencies to return to pure consciousness. But everything is interconnected. And this is just an image, but it's a beautiful image to keep in mind. And I am part of this magnificent omnipotence crystal that I'm a fractal of. And that fractal of me is also another fractal of my expression in this lifetime. So in reality, when we come here on this earth to experiment, we're here to experiment, to feel, to learn, to gain more light, to gain wisdom. And so all the roles that we play, like myself, I'm a nocturne being in this hybrid form. That's the role that I play to represent Prime Creator in this reality. Just like you, Luisa, your life story, change, what you believe, your connections, your core values. It is a role that you play that represent Prime Creator, all there is. And the beauty of this, Luisa, is ultimately we all are made of the same substance that made up stars and planets and galaxies. And that substance is the pure love frequencies of Prime Creator. This is the ultimate substance that we are made of. And that's the grand return of remembering to identify ourselves. What is beyond this identity? I always says every day it's Halloween because we're playing all these roles and we put clothes on and we do our hair and makeup. This is part of the experience. Your soul is experiencing. And I'm very conscious of it. When I brush my teeth, I know it's my soul experiencing me brushing teeth. I do it because I love my teeth. I do it because I choose to take care of them. It's a choice.
Mm. I love this interview because you keep answering my questions. It's perfect. But we do get so caught up in our reality of what we are. I really want to ask you a few other questions. But so, Luisa, who I identify with, is Luisa having experiences in other galaxies and dimensions?
That's a great, great question. Now, Luisa is busy having an Earth experience here. Your soul or your higher self, or that divine part of you that has no identity to Luisa, but recognition of your soul as a divine being, that part of you has a multitude of multidimensional experiences. Think of it this way. In this world, we have been programmed, people overall for generations have been programmed to adhere to a linear time. We were born, when I grew up, when I was young, that was in my 20s. Now I'm today, it's the present. My future is I get older and I leave this planet, right? And I move on back to the light. So we have a very confined and very predefined concept of time, past, present, and what the future holds. But in reality, it's more than that, that a linear perspective of time only exists in this reality, meaning that as long as we are in the game of the 3D world experiencing this life as Luisa, Luisa perceives herself in a certain way, trait, personality, values, filters, belief systems, core of attachments, and the recognition of time. And we agreed on a time and date so we can meet. That's a point in the linear time. When you start to get outside of that linear time, you realize that it's just a projection that we all agree to keep so we can function in this reality. When you start to connect with intergalactic intelligence, the linear time is non-existent. Why? Because everything is coexisting all at once. That means that all of your past lives are still a part of you. It's just that that beautiful sparkle of you, that fragment of you known as Luisa, the host of Passion Harvest and all the good that you do, that part of you is experiencing here. But the rest of you, it's connected to all there is. So therefore, that linear time is not perceived the same way. But that part of you understanding that fractal of you is experiencing here in this 3D reality in a linear time. I always use my crystal as an image because it's so easy to relate to. So time is perceived very differently. Once we start to identify ourselves back again, I identify myself back to my higher self, my divine self. You can still coexist here, function beyond time. Like this morning, I brought my kids to the dentist. I was coming back to have this conversation with you, and I know my schedule the rest of the day. I know how to function in this reality. The only difference is that I am conscious, that I am this being having this experience here. And so time is completely being redefined. So to answer your question in a very simple way, of course you do. You are a multidimensional being as opposed to be a 3D linear being. So this is why you can have flashes of déjà vu or déjà vu, remembrance. What brought you to a country and to another? What is attracting you to maybe a music or a place on the planet is feel familiar, it feels like home. Well, that part of you that existed, let's say in France or New Zealand or Australia, it's coexisting with you. It's just that the identity of you today as Luisa is busy living this life here as you need to. But it's all part of you. It's all there is. Did you know that how we define the future is defined as the now unfolding onto itself indefinitely. And as we move along and we shift it in consciousness, vibration, we release core of attachments, we evolve, that's simply going to redefine the direction of that future probability, still in the now unfolding into itself. And that's the beauty of it.
Oh my gosh, you explained that so beautifully. You spoke, just a quick question. So you spoke about past lives, what we term as past lives or fractals of the soul. Does that include future lives? Is it all in the mix of the soup pot?
Absolutely. It's an ingredient of your soup, because that soup, I love this. This is great. That soup contains all the ingredients that is making you, that is part of you. So yes, it is even possible to ask to your higher self to communicate as it serves you the most, but to communicate to an aspect of your future self. Absolutely. You can do that. Says, I wish to communicate. But remember, those are potentials, no predictions. No one really can predict in time and space. You would say, well, in the past, astronomers and other very famous ones were able to see, yes, they were seeing bigger marker of historical possibility that come to pass. But there's also a lot of those predictions that was simply redirected because we shifted the directions that we're in. And right now we have done that beautifully in a positive way. Positive way, yes. Why? Because more and more and more people worldwide are shifting their thought forms. They're shifting how they question their reality. They're opening themselves to bring the possibility of those multidimensional aspects of selves, communicating with your guides, connecting with your higher self, reconnecting with your star families. That shift the directions of where we're moving to. We're no longer as sleepy civilizations overall. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of resistance too. It's simply out of fear to lose, so to speak, frame of reference that feels comfortable because we're used to them. Well, we're going to be getting used to new ways too. You'll see, we'll settle into new ways.
Thank you, Viviane. So what's your advice or tips for the audience to connect with the divine or their higher self? Or you probably get this question a lot, or their multiple lives or multiple realities.
Yes, it starts with you in the here and now. It really starts with you where you are. It depends a lot on, are you still holding on to, well, I was raised that way, it's just the way it is, or that's impossible, our government says that, or on the news they say this. Allow yourself to detach from all of it. Release them for a moment. Imagine yourself stepping out of a box that you've known and rediscovering the being inside of you. There's no need to go looking far. It's start to rediscovering your own internal universe. Connect with nature. Feel the pulse. Did you feel the earth grid shifting? Can you feel her core? Can you feel the heart of three nations, their roots talking to each other? Can you feel life unfolding around you? Start to reattune your senses beyond the I touch what I touch, I see what I see, I hear what I hear. What else there is behind this frame of three-dimensional senses? There's more. Let's open the door. Take the time just to listen to your heart, feel, let your heart beat the way in your life, as opposed to be so ingrained to listening to the 3D logic mind. And I know that the 3D logic mind will filter out pretty much everything we've conveyed so far. However, Your soul understands. Your heart grabs the wisdom. Your body breathes into it and recognizes the energy behind the words that have been shared with you. The mind may be speaking the loudest for now. Everything else around you is attuned. Your body's consciousness understands the language of energy, knows what to do with this, whether it's a distortion energy, whether it's a higher frequency energy. Either way, the body knows what to do with it. So, and a distortion energy will create physical symptoms. That's how the body communicates to you. At higher frequencies, the body will create more balance, vitality, energy. That's how it communicates to you. Nonetheless, it's already communication. So listen, take the time every day, even just 10 minutes. Sit down, clear the mind. Says, mind, remember that you're part of this. Let's elevate. Let's see what else there is, what else possible. And ask your heart, what does my heart think about those star people? Yes, there are negative and positive ones, for sure. There's no denying there. It's like on the planet, we see positive, negative. This is what we're here for. We're here to clear, heal the polarization and duality energy. We're here to bring ourselves back into unity. And that unity starts with you. So no more living into what we call a divided house. And what it means is that your logic mind will pull you in that direction, but your heart tells you this. Which way to go? Where am I? I'm confused. Now you start to feel more depressed and things are not moving. That's why it's called living in a divided house. You are in division with yourself. The unity consciousness that we speak of start with you. How do you live your life every day? Just explore. I'll tell you one thing very wise that my very first spiritual teacher taught me. I was in my early 20s, just barely 20. She was more than twice my age, wise like a Zen master. She will always says spoken words of wisdom, and then she'll pause and said, Vivian, believe nothing I said. Go experience it for yourself. And every time she would say, but believe nothing that I say, just go experience it and see, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. I will always come back and says, well, how did you know? At first, I would reject what she's saying, but it would stay on the back of my mind. And sure enough, I will go back to my teacher and says, I experienced XYZ. How come? How did you know? And she always says, see, I told you there's nothing to believe. It's all to experience. Now you know for yourself. Now you gain the knowledge to gain the wisdom. And I grown so much with her until she went back to the realm of light. She transformed.
Hmm.
And by the time she
Beautiful.
transformed, I know isn't it incredible? Thank you.
So thank you for sharing that. So Viviane, you're an Acturian hybrid avatar. That's how if you define yourself. What does that mean?
Yes, yes, yes. Let's explore this. It simply means that even though you see me looking very human, relating to me, emotions, feelings, words, warmth, even though I would apply myself to sparkle a few humor here and there, just to bring the vibration. Who I am beyond this human form is I am an Acturian being. I'm one of the high Acturian come from the console. And as an ascended being, I've already reached a level of ascension. We've already reached a level of enlightenment. I have chosen to set an important part of my Octran avatar self into a vessel or a physical form that would have just enough baseline of humanity energy so I can relate, understand, remember what it is to be an earth humans. What does it feel like? Having the emotion, having the understanding of the challenge, to go through duality, go through rejection of being ridiculed, and all of these experiences that all of us go through at some point in our time. And so in such my Acturian delegation, where our advanced positive technology took generations to perform and perfect this perfect vessel that will allow an Arcturian advanced being to be physically on a planet and a such level of density and polarization. This polarization is very toxic, it's very challenging to hold. The density, the gravitational pull of the planet is very heavy to hold. So I had to have a physical form engineered in a way that will allow me to be here so we can talk today, so we can connect, so we can do the work in a way that I am here on a very high important mission that I feel, and I knew even by the age of 5 years old, I knew, and I was here to bring an entire planet back to its original state. And that means billions of life here. And we're talking about herd humans, the animal kingdom, life for the ocean, nature. We're talking about a multitude of conscious life expressed in different shape and forms. There's so much life here. Can you feel them? I do. So I define myself as, yes, I'm a nocturne hybrid. But what does it mean is I am a prototype of my kind in the sense that I'm a direct nocturne being who embody this very uniquely engineered physical form that allow me to coexist in this 3D and still being able to maintain my higher dimensional integrity self. It is no small task, I can tell you that, but that's what it means in an essence.
My gosh, so so how does it feel? I mean, do you suffer in your humanness, in your avatar as Viviane?
Well, what the great masters would say, suffering is optional. Do I feel pain? Oh, in spade. Is my body, like many of us will have, our aches and pains, that's 3D. But the thing is that the challenge for me to hold, to feel the density in a physical form that technically I am meant to vibrate at a much higher level. I am meant to be a more baseline fifth dimensional and sixth dimensional frequency energies in a retracted third dimensional way. The challenge is to maintain the integrity of the body, meaning health, balance, functionality. Um, you know, so I require a lot of assistance just to able to stay on the planet. I can feel it on my spine, the pressure on the planet. I can feel how everything here is vibrating in a lower state. And this is why I'm so eager to see everyone start to raise their frequency. And not just, of course, this is beyond me, this is for an entire planet, but to see the energy start to elevate, to have different form of more conscious, higher intelligent conversations, to elevate our soul, elevate our minds beyond this density, this polarization, this false identity of duality and separation. That's where the pain is the most, is let's heal that, let's release ourselves, and most importantly, let's honor each other. And that means honoring other life, including the animals, including the trees. They're not there to cut at will just because you want to put a pool in your yard. It's a living being. Have you ever seen the spirit of a tree? I have. I have. I helped a wonderful tree that was huge. We helped its soul, its consciousness to transition. Well, the body was cut down because the new neighbor felt that it was no longer necessary and they wanted to put rocks and pools and object in its place. We came with my group. I asked the galactic fairies to assist me in the consciousness of Mother Gaia, and we helped the tree with dignity to transition its spirit because his body was being cut down. And I witnessed it. And I can tell you, I will always remember what I saw and what I felt.
So it's almost as if, as you said, we're here in our humanness, we have a veil put upon us. We don't remember. We're so separated. We don't feel the connection, but you haven't. You have direct connection with your star seed origins.
Yes, because this is exactly why I came as an Acturian being. The thing is that I have been on this planet a very endful time I have very few incarnations on this planet. I only came at the most important historical timelines, meaning at a time where we felt the Earth was moving into the next level of very important evolution. There's a lot of karmic ties that I have no need for. There's a lot of non-attachment that I have. I will travel the world and recognize and feel certain place. I recognize them from a galactic perspective, not from a human perspective. I have been here just enough time to understand the functionality here. But I come from a civilizations we are millions of years old. We are very ancient. We have gone through our own evolutionary process a long time ago. We understand the value of life. We represent aspect of prime creator, and this is what we do when we work with a multitude of other planets and delegations and councils, a multitude of them. So my perspective on life is very, very different. From that perspective, it's an invitation for you to start to remembering to your third eye, release your distraction in the 3D mind, come back here, connect to the bridge, to the heart, and feel life around you. Many people have experienced that out of the blue, their walls become liquid or just portal. That's because there's nothing really super solid. It just appeared to be that way because it vibrates at a certain density. Otherwise, nothing is truly solid. It's the appearance of it. Same thing with separation, is the appearance of it. And those veils, Luisa, I'll tell you, the one most important veil of all is the veil around the heart, numbing down our emotions so that by fear of being hurt, that's the big numbing veil that needs to be released, healed, and resolved. Because what I just shared to you, what I share with you and all of you about the tree, the transitioning of this tree spirit that day, that is cool. That would open your heart in a new ways to understand that we are together steward and guardians of a planet that has such a level of presence. The moment you start to connect with Gaia and feel her, you understand exactly what we speak of. She's very hard to resist, actually.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So you have, obviously, well, you're an avatar. What, do the Acturians have any messages for the Passion Harvest audience?
We have been conveying a multitude of messages throughout our entire time today, but we're simply going to add, it is truly time, believe in yourself more than ever. Release the generational hooks, ancestral belief systems, obligations, distraction, especially from the media. Release or realize how much everything is shifting. Allow yourself to perceive higher truth beyond what is being put in shadow and powder to your eyes. Get to know who you are by this simple act of reading every day to your heart and reaffirm, I choose to be of service. Show me the way. My heart, how can I support you? My heart, what do you need? And allowing your heart center. This is more than a spiritual cliche, everyone. This is the grand return. This is the gateway of your enlightenment. This is the gateway of your ascension. This is the gateway of your grand return to finally understand really truly who you are. And that will change behavioral patterns towards each other on a cultural level, on a planetary level. That will change those old behavioral patterns.
Beautiful, beautiful. Viviane, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Thank you for asking. My website called Infinite Healing from the Stars.com. I do have what's called an Ascension Library, a multitude of free meditation that you can listen to. You can even join us every month. I offer 2 free meditations per month, including a new series on the rays of creation. We just finished our universal principles or universal laws meditation series. The universal laws are great tools to rediscover, relearn, understand, and apply in your life and see how it does for you all dimensions of your life and help you to return to be more of a cosmic citizen as opposed to a 3D linear being.
Thank you
And
for
we,
all the work you do. That's amazing. And I will leave a link below in the show notes as well. On a final note, gosh, I just love talking to you, but is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share with the Passion Harvest audience?
well, indeed. Thank you so much, Luisa. We're about to go on about to lead or co-lead, I must say, a beautiful mystical journey in Egypt. I have been called and offered by the intergalactic delegations and my Acturian father to go to Egypt this year and to reactivate and realign many of the sacred sites. We want to also work to re-strengthening and balance the oceanic grid on the planet through the Nile and doing a lot of important work, especially around the Sphinx and the reactivation of very old ancient archives that will also be connecting to Uluru in Australia through the grids, to the new interdimensional grids coming through. We're there to also help to heal and restore Africa, to reconnect the north of Africa back to the continent and to reunify, to bring back unification to Africa. And then we're going to Greece. I'm going to be also in Santorini to help to clear, restore, and rebalance the Atlantean timelines. And of course, we're going to be at the beautiful Stargate, the global gathering on the island of Kosh, where I'm going to be offering a workshop, and we're going to be there are many people there, thousands of people are going to be there. It's going to be a global gathering on the island. It's also on my website under conference calendar, and there's a live stream, and we're about to help to shift the planet to the next level, and it's an invitation to join us.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Well, I can't wait to look at that. Well, thank you so much for being on Passion Harvest. I really appreciate your time.
It is such a joy to connect with you, and no matter the time frame, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 6 months, you know that my door is always open to you, Luisa. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. Bye-bye. If you liked this episode, please do subscribe for weekly passionate, inspirational interviews.